will you carry a kit? And then that way if you see somebody, so you might not need the kit yourself, but you might run into somebody that needs help, right?
Some scenes from the streets of Edmonton, like a lot of places in the country. Drug use, drug addiction continues to take lives and pose challenges for policymakers. Here in Alberta, the provincial government has passed what it calls the Compassionate Care Act. And one of the things it includes is involuntary treatment for people who are addicted. That was the topic of a lively conversation on Cross Country Checkup. We're going to play some of that for you in a moment. But first, I want to chat with Chanel Twan. She's with Boyle Street, an advocacy group that works with those who are addicted in this neighborhood in Edmonton. And before we talk to her, I want to play a piece of tape you may remember from the National about a year and a half ago, a powerful moment where Chanel showed us pictures from the funerals and memorials she'd been to.
These folks are all people that come from our community, that we love, that we had relationships, that are no longer here, that we miss. We don't have enough room to show you who all our friends are, but all of our friends are gone.
I just wonder, in the last year and a half, is it getting better? Is it the same?
No, absolutely, it hasn't gotten better. In our city right now, we're seeing ambulance calls through the roof, breaking records here. Like, it almost feels like weekly.
The provincial government says it's doing something. You know, they call it compassionate care, and their focus is on treatment and, if need be, involuntary treatment. What do you think?
I think we could, that may, like I said, very well work for some folks. The reality is it's not going to work for everybody. And the folks that we need to worry about are the people who are on our streets dying today. This is where we need supervised consumption sites that allow for inhalation. We need permanent supportive housing that has wraparound supports built in, especially with a huge influx of people who are dealing with brain injury. But there's not... That's not a solution that is going to be enacted today to say, we're going to take everybody into treatment and we're going to lock them up and somehow magically there's going to be no drug poisonings and everything's going to be okay. The reality is people are dying today. They're dying yesterday. They're going to continue to die tomorrow if we don't do something. And I think it's, we want to blame somebody, the government, society, whatever. The reality is we are society. So we need to say something. We need to do something.
Right now, all of Canada is in the grip of this crisis, and we must do all we can to help Albertans who struggle with addiction.
Hi, I'm Ian Hanomansing in Edmonton, the first stop of Cross Country Checkup's 60th anniversary tour.
So let's call a thing what it is. This is, in fact, forced treatment.
Well, I don't think it's involuntary. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm a recovering addict. If you're making them go, it's going to make them resentful.
As a individual that had lived experiences with addiction, yes, I do believe that involuntary care is absolutely essential.
Our question, is involuntary treatment for addiction ever justified? When, if ever, should it be mandatory? We have two guests in the studio now, Angie Staines and Brandon Shaw. Welcome to our studio. You're a nurse, Angie, and the founder of 4B Harm Reduction Society and Edmonton Outreach Group. Yes. And Brandon is your son, a co-founder of the society. Brandon, you've lived through addiction and involuntary treatment when you were young. Hi to both of you.
Hi,
hello.
Thanks for having us.
Angie, before I ask Brandon about his journey, I want you to tell me about the shift you were working in outreach as a nurse and discovered your son on the street.
It was a summer evening. We were out in the core here, not far, about 3 blocks from here. And I was told he was in a certain area, and I went to look, and that's when I found him experiencing a drug poisoning. It's hard to talk about, but I was able to revive him. I think the hardest part of that night was watching him walk away, knowing what he was gonna, not knowing what he was gonna do next or experience.
Brandon, it's hard for your mom to talk about it all these years later. What's it like for you to hear that story?
It's really hard. I remember walking away. I remember feeling very upset. kind of confused and just disappointed that this was never in the book of cards that I had planned out, you know? And I remember in that moment just feeling this overwhelming sense of just needing to get out of there and out of that space, and I just walked away.
And you were forced into treatment when you were 16 years old?
Yeah, when I was 16, yeah.
How did that work?
Didn't work out well. It sent me on... Firstly, it sent me on a 15 years of just this massive spiral. It was something that was... Traumatic, very traumatic. I didn't come out of there healed. I didn't come out of there... Any skills or anything anything like that. I came out of there a better drug user. I came out of there traumatized. I came out of there criminalized. I came out of there feeling like a junkie and like with quite literally no supports.
All right, let's go to the phones now. And Emily is calling from Ottawa. We're not using her full name because there could be consequences to her future employment. Hi, Emily.
Hi there.
You were in involuntary care in British Columbia. What was that experience like?
I mean, I would not be alive today if it weren't for that involuntary care. And I'm very happy to be alive. You know, I think that involuntary care is justified, but I do not agree with government policy mandating it, because I see that from where I stand, I just don't think that we have enough infrastructure in place to really tackle what needs to be tackled.
Well, joining me now in the CBC studio in Edmonton is Superintendent Keith Johnson. He leads the Community Safety and Wellbeing Bureau of the Edmonton Police Service. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for being on the program. You've been on the force for nearly 3 decades.
Yep.
How has the opioid crisis over the last few years reshaped Edmonton?
It's, in my almost 30 years, I can honestly say I've never really seen anything like it. And coming out of COVID and seeing the impact that fentanyl has had on the population has been has been very, very challenging for our frontline members. And it's something where we have to address it under the current laws that we have in both in the province and federal criminal code.
Let me, if I get the computer in the right place, go to Gillian Whittall. Yeah, Gillian Whittall is in Oakville, Ontario. Hi, Gillian.
Hi.
I know you have a tough story, a lot of loss within your family and your neighborhood, and that kind of informs your view of involuntary treatment. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'm very in support of it. I lost my brother in 2017. To a product of fentanyl called carfentanil. He left behind 3 children and a fairly large family. Last year, I lost my son, and he was 27, and, he had a promising career. He was a contractor. He had his own business. He just could not deal with the addiction. He could not get into rehab. He couldn't get help. He was ashamed and, yes, had a lot of guilt. And our relationship was strained for a number of years.
Gillian, let me ask you this. I mean, knowing all you know about your son, do you think that involuntary treatment would have changed things?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because he would have seen a way out of his life. He may not have liked, sort of how the process went. But I believe that once he was there, once he got clean and could actually think and use his brain and realize people loved him, he wasn't a failure, lose the guilt, through proper programming, I believe he'd be alive.
Gillian,
I really do.
Thank you very much for sharing your story.